Hello, and welcome to the Future Proof Podcast. This is our monthly podcast where we chat about stuff we've been working on and anything cool we're planning. I'm Melissa Avery Weir.
And I'm Gregory Avery Weir. And this is a historical time.
It is. It's, I have to say I'm both sick of the phrase unprecedented times, and yet I find myself saying it. So certainly in the last month, really within the last 3 weeks, the United States has really started to reckon with some of its racial issues, some of the violence perpetually committed on black folks. And it's, from my perspective as a black person living in America, it's disingenuous to say it started 3 weeks ago or that it started with a particular murder. It's also kind of hand-wavy to say it started 400 years ago. Like, there's this, there's something very abstract about 400 years ago. So I don't know when to say when it started, but I will say we took to the streets in the last 2 to 3 weeks this time, right? It's we live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and this has been an interesting area. There have been protests nightly, daily. There was a particularly notably violent incident from the police on June 1st, where there were cops basically decided to, I don't know, was a term for it, kettling or something. Basically, they cornered and hemmed in a bunch of protesters with pretty much no way to escape, and then attacked them in the streets. And so it's hard to give an order to disperse and then proceed to trap the people you're asking to disperse. So it's been an interesting time here. A lot of folks are learning a lot about what our city council can do, and sort of where the power lies with regards to defunding the police. I think, folks are seeing that Charlotte as a community can keep standing up, and that, we won't accept platitudes. Like, they did a painting on a street downtown. It is a gorgeous painting. It's every letter of Black Lives Matter done by a different artist, but that ain't it, right? That's not the solution, and that doesn't put a stop to things. You have to actually make change happen. So it's been good being in Charlotte in the sense that it feels like there's a sense of community here. There's independent press that have really stepped up. It was an independent newspaper that recorded the police attack on June 1st that brought it to state and national level news. So it's been tense, me living here, wanting to protest, doing a certain amount of it, but also coronavirus is still happening, and North Carolina is not a good state right now. It reopened too early. Cases are still on the rise. So I'm trying to find a multitude of ways to support things that are local as well as broader level stuff.
Yeah, and I've been really inspired by how disciplined and organized and principled so many of the protesters and the other people working for justice have been. We're seeing just real great dedication and focus in response, in the face of this militarized, abusive police situation. And we're seeing people setting up autonomous communes to hold space for the community against the cops, and people organizing enormous blockages of highways in a way that's impressively safe and disciplined for just a bunch of randos getting together to protest a thing.
I feel like I'm furious at the need for this, and I'm super proud of people that are doing the right thing, and I'm surprisingly hopeful, given what I'm learning about politics and what I'm seeing from people, that we can make some change.
Yeah.
So, sort of to bring it to game dev a little more specifically, it's been interesting seeing who is involving themselves in saying something about what's going on. Like, there's all sorts of like I don't care what like EA says, right? Like these massive companies that continue to allow rampant racism, particularly in their online games or even just in their game design. Hell, they can black screen with white text all they want, and that doesn't mean a whole lot. But it surprises me, and yet doesn't, I guess, when a company like Valve, right, like Steam, I think of as not an indie company by any means, but like a place where indies sell stuff, and a place that is accessible to indies, which feel more like real people than EA. Not say anything, like not.
Yeah, we haven't even received like a private email checking in from Valve.
Nothing. Not one, no discount. Everyone knows that there's an event coming up soon-ish on Steam, and not a single word about that in any kind of way that's relevant to the times. So whatever times that Steam and Valve are living in, it is not these unprecedented ones.
Yeah, they're kind of business as usual.
Yeah, which is, it's gross, and I don't know, capitalism is always going to be a terrible thing, but it really turns my stomach to think that, like, this space, this platform, the amount of money that they make, that as far as anyone is aware, that money is still going right into their pockets. Especially when they are surrounded by examples of their peers doing better.
So yeah, as future-proof games, we have like complicated feelings about continuing to work with Steam. We're almost certainly gonna, because that's important to our survival. But we're looking for ways to kind of offset that and to act in ways that uphold the fact that, we think Black lives matter. We think Black trans lives matter, where especially people with the intersection of queerness and Blackness and other people of color, and especially transgender people of color, disproportionately by wild numbers, suffer violence at the hands of the police and at the hands of other people. And a storefront that is doing awesome things is itch.io. Hopefully you have heard about this already, but when this episode comes out, the sale will be just ending. But they had a bundle for racial justice and equality, which includes, it is, I would say, the best video game deal ever, and probably that ever will occur.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people participating, thousands of games,
over
1,000.
Hundreds of creators participating.
Yeah, hundreds of developers, over 1,000 games, and it has raised. It's looking like it's going to be raising around $7 million for the NAACP legal fund and the community bail fund, and that's great.
It's astonishing.
Our game Rosette Diceless is in the bundle, and just the fact, like, we didn't really have to do much, right? All we had to do is be like, hey, here's this thing that we can contribute to this collective action. But just knowing that we did even that little thing to contribute to it is so great, because on our own, like, future-proof games does not have enough money flowing through it to do anything even close to that. Like,
I wish.
Yeah, the fact that we can be part of that is just amazing, and I'm so proud.
Yeah.
And then we're currently in a bundle at DriveThruRPG that also contains Rosette Diceless, that should be ongoing.
Yeah, it should have several more days on it when this comes out.
Yeah, and so we'll link to that in the show notes, where if you want an opportunity to get a bunch of cool tabletop games and have all the proceeds go to good causes, you can do that.
Yep. So yeah, it's been a heavy few weeks. So yeah, I hope everyone who's listening, is finding their own way in these times, regardless of, I know that's difficult on a variety of axes, but yeah.
Yeah. One thing that has been kind of comforting, separate from the good that we're helping to do, is that because it's in the bundle, Rosette Diceless has gotten a whole bunch more people downloading it and looking at it and getting more attention.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome. We've got a couple reviews through Itch and a couple of ratings and a lot of downloads, of course, from folks that have purchased the bundle. And so as we are working on our second anniversary update, the second anniversary of Rosette Diceless release is the end of July. And so we've talked a few months ago about kind of what we're doing there, but it's a compilation of the existing supplemental material, several new articles, new traits in the game, new resources in the game, sort of like, taking our lessons learned as well as some new kind of creative ideas we've come up with and packaging those up into kind of a standalone book. It's going to be, it's not going to be anything big, but it will be its own sort of thing you can have at the table as you play.
Yeah, just stuff we've learned from our home game, kind of like advice from people who have actually been playing this for 2 years to help enhance your experience.
Yeah. So that's exciting, and we don't know, we're targeting end of July. Things have gone so differently in 2020 than even we expected. So, we'll see what the timeline looks like as we get closer. But you've been working on one piece in particular lately, right, Greg?
Yeah. The stuff that I've most recently been working on is notes on, hey, how do you handle it when you want your character to have something where it's like, I don't need to worry about this problem. So like we have traits that you can take that make it so that you don't need to breathe. We have options where stuff about a character would imply that they could just like shrug off an attack, shrug off an action that tried to stop them from achieving their goal. And so I'm writing guidance on like, what does that mean? How do you maintain this dramatic back and forth in the story and still like respect that character choice? And the answer is that you tailor the challenges so that a person is challenged in a different way if they otherwise would be facing an obstacle that they just shrug off, because it's more interesting to have people actually have to overcome an obstacle rather than just sort of like ignore it.
Right.
So yeah,
yep.
that sort of guidance is what we're looking to pass on to people.
Yeah. So I think we have most of what we want in it all planned out, sort of in the sense of like what the table of contents will be roughly. And it's, like I said, it's going to be fully packaged. It's going to be art. It's going to be cover art. It's going to be a thing you can buy. So it won't be very expensive though. So our last bit of news is, again, it just feels so weird, Greg. Like the calendar is not working right. So it's our final bit of news is about the Majesty of Colors.
Yeah, so we got our Majesty of Colors second anniversary update out, and we were talking, we were sprint planning, planning our work for the upcoming week, and the realization that like, since we had planned last, we had released a game just hit us because everything has blurred together these days. But yeah, we did a big update for the Majesty of Colors, the remastered edition. If you already own it, then you've either got an auto-updated version or you'd want to hit up where you downloaded it from and get the new version. It's not a huge addition. It's some bug fixes, some enhancements, a few extra things you can do, one new achievement on platforms that have achievements.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And we're proud to have done that and to have put a little bit of polish on it and supported it. And that'll probably be the last big change we do, I think that we're likely only to make like compatibility fixes from now on. But it was cool to kind of set it off by taking care of the stuff we wanted.
Yeah, we've the only sort of thing we have left in our docket for a potential down the road sort of thing would be translation work. But, you know, there's also sort of a financial aspect there of how much money will the game make, has the game made, et cetera, so.
Yeah, because we want to pay our translators, and so we need to make sure that that's money that can come from somewhere.
Right. So, yeah, that's... It just feels really weird to be doing something as normal as recording a podcast right now. So,
yep.
Sorry about how weird this probably sounds.
No, I think that it's important to recognize that the reason that we're fighting for justice is so that we can live in this world, right? So that it doesn't have to be a constant struggle. Yeah. And so, like, we can change our normal to incorporate justice and incorporate, like, actual genuine flourishing of queer folks and people of color. And that means that we will be doing normal stuff. We want to change that paradigm. We don't just want to, like, fight in the streets for a month and then go back to just the way things were.
Exactly. Yeah. And so to help with that, in our show notes, we're going to have a list of charities that we're aware of that if you are financially able to, it'd be good to help support. And that's, you know, a mixture of Black Lives Matter related things, Black Trans Lives Matter, a couple of COVID organizations that I think are helpful for relief funds for different folks. So check the show notes for those. And you can find all of our stuff at futureproofgames.com. We're over on Twitter as Play Futureproof and on YouTube as Futureproof Games. We're not going to mention Facebook anymore because it's Facebook and we don't like them very much. So watch our videos over on YouTube. You can hit us up with questions or comments over on our blog or social media. And our theme music is Juparo by Broke for Free, which is used with permission.